Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Astrology Today with Jeff Harman. Hope everyone's doing great. I am Ella, Jeff's assistant. Thanks so much for joining us. Happy fall equinox. The fall equinox is upon us. And of course, that's what Jeff is going into today. So take it away, Jeff.
All right. Thanks for that. Yeah, this is a very powerful time of the year. And of course, every year there are 4 points. We start with the spring equinox, and this is when the ecliptic path of the sun and the earth are exactly equal. That's why they call it equinox. The days and the nights are equal. And of course, then we move in the northern hemisphere to the farthest point north, which is the summer solstice. And then we come to the fall equinox, which is where we are now. Again, this is when the reason it's called fall is because the sun appears to fall below the equinoctial point at this point. And of course, it goes to its lowest point, where the sun is lowest in the sky, at the winter solstice. So these are 4 very much celebrated ancient energies that were always observed by the ancients. And of course, many monoliths have been built to this. Chaco Canyon, many places in India and Europe, so on and so forth, observe this. And of course, we've also heard of the precession of the equinoxes. And that, of course, is paying attention to where the equinoctial point is, and particularly the spring equinox, in relationship to all the fixed stars. And of course, that gets into the 26,000 years, it's actually about 25,700 or 25,900 years around the central sun. And of course, this is called the Great Year. So these are very powerful times. This one is especially important because astrologically, it actually is echoing the spring equinox. And this is an interesting point to make here because tropical astrologers follow the tropical zodiac. Vedic astrologers follow the sidereal zodiac. And what this is really, I've always had this dissension between tropical astrologers, which are also kind of dubbed Western astrologers, and Vedic siderealists. And each camp seems to think their zodiac is right. Well, I was just crazy enough to study it all. And I said, you know what? They're both accurate. And the reason why they're both accurate is because the tropical zodiac is actually fixed. So when the equinoctial and solstice points happen, it is clearly another zodiac that's operating in conjunction with the sidereal. And I have found tropical transits are very accurate to people's charts. I also found so is the sidereal. So that's why I look at them both. And one of the interesting things that the ancients said, and this actually comes from a book called The Astrology of the World. No one knows how old it is. There were many astrologers who penned this stuff, clearly going back to Egypt, clearly going back to Sumeria, Chaldea, and Greek. And also much of this came out of the Nadi astrology and the ancient Vedantic as well. So what they paid attention to is when these 4 points happen. And of course, this is the fall equinox. And by the way, just FYI, this fall equinox is actually going to happen on September 22nd. So it'll be really early in the morning here. And if you're listening to this on Sunday, it's probably already gone by because Pacific Daylight Time, it was happening at 5:43:23 Pacific Daylight Time, AM. If you're on the East Coast, it's happening at 8:43:25 AM, Eastern Daylight Time in Washington, D.C. So many people in the past have always taken the country's capital as the point at which to look for the outlook of the country. And of course, the United States, we're going to look at Washington, D.C. So one of the things that I did, and I was mentioning this book here a moment ago, on the ancient astrology of the world, and this definitely goes back a long, long time. We have translations, various different ones that go back to 400 AD, 300 BC, 100 AD, etc. So they're all fairly consistent. And what they say is you cast a chart for the spring equinox in a tropical zodiac. And if that chart has a fixed sign rising, you use that chart for the entire year, but you also look at the solstice and the fall equinox and the winter solstice in conjunction with that. Well, this is a year, 2024, that the spring equinox actually happened on a fixed sign. It was actually Scorpio rising, which is ruled by Mars. And when I looked at that chart, it was interesting because this is where Vedic astrology comes into play. You can actually look at the tropical system in sidereal and look at where the transits were in relationship to the moon. And I did that. And I can tell you, this is, again, a year of a lot of contention. Of course, we know in the United States, it is an election year, and we've had all the white noise going on and the infiltration of the borders. And of course, they're actually flying over the borders, all paid first class. But the bottom line is this, and I've been talking about this a lot, we have a very dangerous set of energies on the United States. And of course, that is what I've been mentioning, the Pluto return, the sidereal Pluto return. And also, when I look at the tropical and sidereal juxtapositions, there's a lot of dicey energy here going on. And I would have to say that this chart actually showed the further it went on that it was probably going to get more and more dicey near the end of the year. So again, let's hope it doesn't, and let's hope we get through this election with no more problems. But look at the world at large. We've got increased violence going on in the Middle East. There was just some big attacks here that just happened between Israel and Hezbollah and so on and so forth. And I think it's going to get more intense over there. I hope it doesn't, but it's very likely to. We also still have the theater going on over with Russia and Ukraine. So, and don't be surprised if other things light up here sooner than later. And let's hope it doesn't. But remember, Uranus, that 84-year cycle going around the zodiac in the sidereal astrology, is going to conjunct that fixed star right in the middle of October. So it's going to be right between it gets real hot between the 10th of October and the 14th. So it's a very dangerous time here. And of course, we've got the election going on. So a lot of people, just kind of more on the spiritual side, a lot of people like to take the equinoxes, especially, and do rituals and prayers on them, because this was a time when many of the ancient cultures were gathering in their crops and storing up for the winter, storing wood, all that, preparing for the winter ahead in the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, you down under, it's coming into your springtime, so it's opposite. So this is powerful times of the year. You can feel it. The leaves start to turn if you're in a place where you've got a lot of wooded trees. And also, we're heading towards the coldest point of the year, which, of course, is the winter solstice. And then really winter kicks in after that. So this is, a good time to do meditation and rituals or any other kinds of meditation that you do. And, of course, we'll hope for the best for this craziness that's going on in the world, because it's always the innocent people that get killed with these wars that didn't have anything to do with starting them. So let's hope that that's the case, and have a great fall equinox, because it's actually a time where you count your blessings on the physical plane.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much for this. And once again, happy fall equinox, everyone. We'll see you on our Monday live. This week, we're switching over to Friday. So it'll be Monday and Friday instead of Monday and Thursday. Please join us. Have a beautiful week and take good care.